Greetings and welcome to the channel. My name is Dr. Gyesie, transformational coach here at Inner Mileage, where we work to help folks overcome limiting self-beliefs so you can align to your best life right here, right now. Today we're going to be talking a bit about energy transmutation as the key for empaths to gain freedom from narcissistic abuse. Energy transmutation, the key for narcissists to gain freedom from narcissistic abuse. And this is particularly relevant if you've ever been in a situation where you spent significant time with a narcissist and you seem to notice how some people seem to take away energy, particularly if they have narcissistic energy vortexes. If you're an empath, this is your daily reality. You absorb energy, both positive and negative, often without realizing it. But what if I told you this energy isn't meant to destroy you? What if it's actually fuel for your transmutation? Today we're diving into the science, history, and spiritual significance of energy transmutation, what it is, why it's essential for empaths, and how you can use it to break free from toxic cycles and align with your true purpose. And stick with us throughout this video because by the end, you'll be able to identify and harness your own energy, understand the basics of energy rooted in physics and psychology, see how ancient cultures use this type of energy, and we'll add practical evidence to transform these energies from narcissistic abuse to personal freedom. So it's important to start with the definition of what energy transmutation is. And energy transmutation is a process of shifting emotional, psychological, and spiritual energies from one state to another. And according to the first law of thermodynamics in physics, energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed or transferred. Only transformed or transferred. And this principle applies not just to physical energy, but to emotional and psychological energy as well. Example, anger as an emotion and energy state can be redirected into motivation. Trauma, when integrated properly, can be a source of wisdom and resilience. In fact, my own trauma is the reason why I am here, having transmuted that energy, for example. We also look at it from a psychological perspective. And again, I like to borrow from Carl Jung's work quite a bit because Carl Jung described what he called psychic alchemy. Carl Jung is this famous Swiss psychotherapist and most people know. And psychic alchemy is a process where inner pain can be actualized into self-discovery, right? It can be transmuted into self-actualization. And this mirrors ancient alchemy, where lead, which you can say is pain, is turned into gold, which you can say is wisdom and power, often talked about in the famous book, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And what this means for empaths is your pain is raw material for transformation, without a doubt. But there's a reason why empaths struggle with this. And the reason why empaths struggle with this is because empaths don't just sense energy, they absorb it very deeply. And this can lead to emotional exhaustion, anxiety and depression, difficulty setting boundaries, physical health issues. But the problem isn't the energy itself. It isn't the energy. It's that empaths have not been trained in how to transmute the energy, right? And because once you learn how to transmute the energy, you realize that pain actually works to your advantage. In fact, before we talk about the spiritual basis of transmuting energy, if you visit the 7 Hermetic principles of ancient Egypt, it's all about transmutation. For example, the law of polarity, as one of those laws of the 7, is the ability to transmute one state to another. In other words, sadness is a polarity for happiness, just like poverty is a polarity for wealth. And if one understands that they are both sides of the same coin, then the question becomes, what is in the way? What's the gap? What's the delta between state 1 and state 2? And how do you resolve it? Because they're just two sides of the same coin. And usually the resolution lies in internal limiting self-beliefs about oneself based on conditioned states from our early childhood experiences. So let's go into the spiritual basis of transmuting energy. We'll start with looking at it across several civilizations, starting with Taoism and energy flow. Taoism, or Tao Te Ching. So in Taoist philosophy, Qi Energy, chi, is the life force that must be moved and refined for enlightenment. Therefore, blocked chi or energy in you leads to disease and internal turmoil. When you look at it from a Hindu perspective with the Kundalini awakening, Kundalini energy, which is in your cerebrospinal fluid, when properly awakened, transmutes lower vibrations into higher consciousness. In other words, the root chakra spirals to the crown chakra through all the other 6 chakra centers, from the root to the solar plexus and to the heart and so forth. And I already talked about Hermeticism and mental transmutation. In fact, if you read the Kybalion, it teaches the principle of mental transmutation. Therefore, you know that energy follows thought. And if you shift your perception, you shift the outcome. Then finally, I'll talk about Buddhism and suffering and transformation. The Buddha taught that dukkha, which is suffering, is the path to enlightenment. And if processed correctly, pain becomes fuel for spiritual awakening. Pain becomes fuel for spiritual awakening. So it's important to give some examples of folks who've used energy transmutation, just so you know that you can do it. And it's not, I'm using these things because they're for easy reference. So we often hear about Nikola Tesla. He used the transmutation possibility from solitude and rejection to develop world-changing inventions. That's why we're still talking about him. Holocaust survivor Viktor Frankl uses trauma to create what he called logotherapy, helping millions find meaning in suffering. And we also know that Dr. Maya Angelou transmuted childhood trauma, for which she was mute for several years by trauma, into incredible poetic and artistic genius that has inspired generations and continues to. So you realize that these figures did not avoid pain, they used it as a raw material for transformation. As simple as that. So how can you do the same? How do you transmute negative energy to positive energy? Well, firstly, nothing happens until there's full acknowledgement. Therefore, acknowledging the energy is key. That includes naming it without suppressing it. Because when you name and acknowledge the intention and the emotion, you reduce its intensity. There's a study from UCLA that says this. Then, after acknowledging it, it's important that you take ownership and reframe the narrative. So several therapeutic interventions, one I particularly like is cognitive-based therapy. Research from that shows that reframing painful experiences alters the brain's neural pathways. And this resonates and I can be of help. Type transform in the comment section or reach out to a licensed mental health professional that can help you. So reframing the narrative after acknowledging is key. Then, of course, you cannot ignore the body, right? A lot of us do, but the body keeps score. That's why trauma shows up in the belly and in disease and so forth, right? And the famous work by Bessel van der Kolk, the body keeps score. We know things like, at least in my experience, breath work, breathing exercises, yoga, movement, and other things. For me, particularly Kundalini yoga and kinetic yoga helped transmute negative energy. Then there's the notion of spiritual redirection, the particularly learning from the observer effect in quantum physics, knowing that whatever you focus on and grows, and the position on which you focus on a thing changes its outcome, right? It's the observer effect. So things are not static, but the way you look at it changes the thing itself. So when you visualize negative energy, and you can transform it into light and power. And of course, with narcissists, you want to have energetic boundaries, including the gray rock or no contact if you can, and then have cleansing rituals, whether they are visualizations or meditations and etc., even spiritual baths that help you stay ahead of this. So you know that pain is not the enemy. It is raw energy for transformation. You're not powerless. You're an alchemist of your own life. And if you're ready to learn how to transmute energy permanently, subscribe to Inner Mileage for deeper insights. Don't forget to hit the notification button for future notifications when we post videos. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, particularly if this is informative. And type transform and let us know your experiences with this, with transmuting energy from one state to another. It's just as simple as math and physics. though it takes practice and repetition until it becomes de facto. Remember, there's absolutely no one like you. Keep ascending, keep healing, keep transmuting. Peace.